Hello, everybody. I'm back with another DevOps SRE question. As you might remember, I did some research on LinkedIn by going through, I think, somewhere between 30 to 40 job descriptions for DevOps and SRE roles. And I counted up the words that come together, that they're similar. So if you look at the list here, the top one is cloud, either AWS, GCP, or Azure. They came up 115 times just from 30 or 40 job descriptions. Next one is CI/CD, 97 times. Performance or monitoring or availability or Prometheus, Grafana, those things came out 72 times, and you get the idea, right? At the very bottom, we have system design that came up 17 times in different forms. So you get the idea what tools or what technologies or what topics are more important for you to practice. Now you see the thing to see here though, even the 15th topic came up 17 times out of say 35 job descriptions or so. So you really should not be ignoring any of these top 15. However, studying 15 topics in depth is not possible. So you should focus on the top ones first, and then know a little bit about the ones at the bottom. However, there are two major exceptions at the bottom. There's Kubernetes at number 11 and Terraform at number 12. I believe the data here is not representative of the real world. In real world, you would get a lot more questions on Kubernetes and Terraform. Today's topic is going to be Docker. And the question today is explain how you would optimize the size of a Docker image and why that's important, and show us some best practices. So I'll give you the context here. The context here is if you were a SRE, you should know how to create a Docker image. And when you do make Docker images, you run into the problem that developers run into, which is sometimes you end up with a large Docker image that will take up a lot of disk space, a lot of resources when you run them in containers, right? So you want to minimize the size of your Docker image as much as possible. That's a real life problem that developers and SREs face. So your interviewer is looking for your experience on how to do that. That's the point. Before I move to the answer, just a quick reminder: Floyd Spencer, FloydSpencer.com. He is my career advisor. He's very passionate about helping people find jobs. If you're in the market, take advantage of his 1 hour free session, no string attached. And I'm not financially benefiting from any of the things he does. I just think that he's a wonderful career advisor. Okay, there's a lot of information here in this slide, but I'm not going to read every single one of them. But and I'll put them in the text in the description below, so you can copy, you can read for yourself. But here are some of the main ideas, right? So first of all, you start with the smallest image possible, like alpine or something like that. That way, you're starting with a really small image. You don't want to start with the Ubuntu image. That's a huge image, like a gigabyte or something, right? Alpine might be tens of megabytes, something like that. I don't remember how big they're, but they're small, really small. So you start with something that's super small, and then you add stuff to it. Use multi-stage, meaning, and you can. We're not going to go into details of how to create Docker images today, but for the sake of answering this question, you want to know that when you create your um, um, images, if you create them using multiple stages, then your layers are thin, and the end you end up with a smaller image. You also want to minimize each layer. You can think, if you think of it as like a Big Mac or something, right? If you want a small burger, you don't want to have each layer to be big. So you want to combine your run commands that is creating the Docker image, and use the @%, so you can have in one layer, you can fit in a bunch of things, right? So you don't want to have too many layers. Okay. Also, in each layer, you want to get rid of files that you don't need in the next layer. So if you're creating, let's say you created some artifact, you want to keep the artifact but then remove everything else. Use dockerignore file and gitignore file so that the unnecessary files don't get copied into the live image that you're going to use in production, right? You also want to minimize dependencies. So let's say that your container runs a Python program and it needs a couple of libraries. You don't want to fill the image with libraries that you're actually not using. So only use a simple image to start with and only keep the libraries that you need and get rid of everything else so that your end result, the end container, end image is very, very small. If you have direct questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. I will accept your invite and I will try my best to answer your questions as time permits. If you're benefiting from this video, please subscribe and I will see you in the next one.